Hello everyone, my name's Mary. I've been a HR specialist for the past 20 years and I work with Business Solutions Hub. So I'd like to give you a presentation on building workplace culture. So the areas that we're going to cover today are strategies for creating an engaged, inclusive and productive workplace. So the topics are impacts of a positive workplace culture, assessing employee engagement, recognition and rewards programs, team building activities, diversity and inclusion, and values and mission integration. So first of all, the impacts of a positive work culture. So having a positive work culture in your business increases employee satisfaction and loyalty. And of course, the more satisfied and loyal your employees are, there is a reduction in absenteeism, greater staff retention, so less staff turnover, which reduces cost to the business of having to recruit, improved performance and productivity, and there's a stronger connection to the organisational success and growth. So your employees actually become personally invested in the success of the business that they're working for. So what are some ways that we can assess employee engagement? One of the best ways to assess employee engagement is through surveys. The importance of measuring employee engagement and best practice for survey design and administration is that they provide anonymity and confidentiality. They can be used regularly and consistently. The important thing is, though, some employees lose faith in the survey process because they don't feel that anything changes once these have been completed. So it's really important to ensure that survey results are analysed and acted on, and feedback needs to be given back to the employees so they know they've been heard and acknowledged. A reward and recognition program. So the benefits and examples of reward and recognition program. So first of all, this boosts morale and motivation. And every business needs positive, energetic, motivated employees to represent them in the best possible way. There's a reduced staff turnover because employees are happy with where they are. They don't feel the need to turn on to improve their situation or circumstances, and they feel a part of the business that they're working with. This also, of course, reduces not just intellectual property and knowledge of the business, but it reduces costs in having to rehire and, of course, the time taken for new employees to upskill and be fully efficient in the role. Of course, there's monetary and non-monetary rewards. So these could vary from an annual bonus payment, gifts or vouchers, an additional leave day or finishing early, and also flexible working hours that are tailored to the individual. So if you've got people who have responsibilities outside of the workplace, they might have adjusted work hours on different days and the flexibility to leave early, whether they have children to collect from school or other appointments. There's also a formal and informal recognition process. So this could be a promotion or the opportunity to act in a higher role and receive higher duties payments, or simply communicated to the wider business and shared within the team that someone has done a good job. Team building is also another good way to increase employee and workplace culture. So some team building activity ideas could be a workshop or retreat, social activities outside of work hours, and regular team meetings and updates. This all helps strengthen relationships and collaboration and improves communication and trust within the team. Diversity and inclusion. So some of the benefits of diversity and inclusion in the workplace are enhanced creativity and innovation and improved decision making and problem solving. So how do you build diversity and inclusion? Inclusive workplace practices, which could include making sure that all positions that are available, whether that's in a short-term higher duties backfill situation, are available for anyone to apply for and that there's equal opportunity for everyone to have a turn. Have a strong team, so make sure that there's trust in the relationships and people know they can count on each other. Encourage open communication and build trust. Values and mission integration. So a good way to improve workplace culture is to align the workplace culture with the organisational values and mission. So some strategies for integration are to promote the core values of the business in daily operations. If part of your workplace mission or value is to provide exemplary customer service, ensure this is communicated to employees daily. Remind them of the importance the business puts on this. Encourage employee involvement in mission-driven projects. So if the business is having a monthly fundraiser for a certain organisation or charity, make sure the reason the business is supporting this project is communicated and that everyone's on board and understands what they're trying to achieve. So what have we covered? So strategies for creating an engaged, inclusive and productive workplace. So we've looked at the impacts of a positive work culture and improving business success, assessing employee engagement, which also improves retention of staff and supports the business, ways of doing that through a recognition and reward program, discuss some team building activities, diversity and inclusion, and the importance of including the whole workplace in any values and mission integration. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Mary. That was very useful, and I think it almost feels like a simple process if you follow it correctly and make sure that the two-way communication is happening. So I guess, what is the number of employees you need to have for this process to be effective, especially if you want to use the survey concept?
I guess if you want to use the survey approach, you would need to have at least 2 employees so that there was anonymity. But it would be important in a smaller business, if you only have 1 employee in your business, it would be even more important to make sure that there's that open communication and that it's a trusting relationship. And you could do that more so through some of those flexibility options with work. So build the relationship or build the trusting relationship through offering some of those scenarios, which can be easier in a smaller business because they're not comparing what the benefits somebody got to something they didn't get. When there's fewer employees, it can be much easier to manage that sort of flexibility. And just to make sure that there is that open communication, that regular touching base of, is everything going okay? Do they need anything? It's really just about building trust in the relationship.
I think one of the questions that I have from employers is, if you have a small number of employees, sometimes they fear that their feedback, especially if it's written, it might reveal their identity, especially if they refer to a certain example. And also it becomes where, at what point, what do you do when you see a comment that would trigger, requires employee assistance program? So does the survey, the analyzing of the results, delve deeper to guide the employer into how to deal with certain comments and feedback?
The survey tends to ask the same questions but in a very different way, so that it's asked from a few different angles to encourage the employee to really think about the answers and identify for themselves how they feel about different things. So the anonymity and confidentiality is always questioned with these things, and of course you're correct, Lena, the smaller the number of employees taking the survey, the higher the chances of that failing is possible, which is why it's just really important to have regular team meetings, individual catch-ups and those sorts of things to really identify if there's any problems in the workplace. So the smaller the business, the more need for the individual engagement.
And one last question before I go to the next audience member. I think when you talk about monetary and non-monetary, a lot of employers might actually see the survey as, this is more work for me because, and I think a lot of employees need the opportunity to have a say and to be heard. So that's why the survey is the best option to do it, or even a suggestion box where you don't write a name. But then I think we need to sort of reduce the anxiety of the employer about not seeing this as a problem that, it's extra workload, because not everything requires investment to fix. So I guess what are the things that would employees consider and they think twice about before they decide to leave a certain employer? Because you could be offered the same pay, same benefits elsewhere, but not decide to leave. So what are those things that we call non-monetary that would create loyalty and would make people think twice before they jump ship?
Some of the data that exists suggests that up to 80% of employees leave their current workplace due to the relationship with their direct manager, which is why it's so important to have that communication. So as long as a manager can communicate with their employee, they feel listened to and acknowledged, that will reduce the chances of them leaving the role. So people will stay in a workplace where they're actually paid a bit less than what they know they could be offered somewhere else, because they either have a friend at work, they like the environment and the culture at work, and people will stay for those reasons. So the main reasons that they leave is because of that relationship with their direct manager and not feeling really part of the team or feeling considered as part of the business.
So Mary, with reward and recognition programs, how can you offer benefits but keep ahead of everybody else? So sometimes the benefits become standard across employers over time.
Katie, a big part of it is having a really robust process to assess performance each year. So as part of the organisation's profile, it's important to have a really strong performance management or performance review process in place, so that each individual, at least annually, preferably twice a year, has one-on-one time with the manager to really assess their performance, how they're tracking against their position description and any KPIs they might have, and have that set out that if they achieve a certain result during those conversations, they get either an increase in award banding or a percentage, which is also included in any enterprise agreements that a business might have. But if it's an award-based role, it would be in line with what the next level in the award is and reassessing the position description. And any other benefits such as that flexibility in the workplace, or that part of the culture of the organisation can be that there is an understanding that if you need to finish early on a certain day, there's that flexibility there to be able to start early, and the whole give and take and swings and roundabouts system. And those things aren't standard, and it just needs to be communicated across the business. And again, it comes back to policies and procedures about any requests for flexibility will be considered, and that they're not a guarantee that they'll be approved, but that the business will always consider them based on the needs at the time.
Another question pops into my head. With Business Solution Hub offering this engagement survey, do you think this will be seen in a positive way by employees because the process is independent and there is a third party coming in? So it's different from having the employer actually organizing the survey internally. So do you think it actually might help better and encourage more people to participate in the survey if they know there's a neutral third-party company driving the entire process, which gives it more integrity? So from your experience, do you think this would actually help?
From my experience, that would definitely help. So one of the things that employees do, not engage in those surveys is because they have that doubt. And look, sometimes, Lena, these surveys are put into place because they know there's a problem with culture. So if you already know there's an issue with trust in the business, and then you put out a survey, people don't trust the business to know that they can actually respond honestly. So, you know, in some cases, there's less than a 30% completion rate with those sorts of things, especially in larger organisations. So having the survey delivered independently, as you say, definitely builds, you know, more security for the employee that their employer won't actually know who provided, and the results are really collated and given as an overall, this is the percentage of employees that feel a certain way, so it doesn't identify anyone in that capacity. Okay, well, thank you everyone. So we do provide personal support for HR, WA and business specialists. We have a library of over 170 HR and business resources to help you manage your business, and we have regular HR and WR updates to help keep your business compliant. So if we can help in any way, please reach out. Feel free to contact us and enjoy your day. Thank you.